Today's lesson is preparing for Christmas. Hi, everybody. My name is Roger.And
my name is Helen.
And today we're going to be preparing for Christmas, which is coming up in just a couple of days. We're specifically talking about Christmas decorations, and in today's lesson we've got Daisy and Adam, and they're talking about that very thing, Christmas decorations. Helen, did you make any preparations for Christmas this year?I
have not yet prepared for Christmas, but there are, in fact, a lot of things that one must do to prepare for Christmas, even though Christmas takes place on one day on December 25th. But there are many things to do leading up to that day. For instance, you have to decorate your house, decorate the tree, buy gifts, prepare food for the family. So it's really a big event that's very similar to Lunar New Year.
Exactly. And of course, for many years when I came here to Taiwan, I was by myself, I was single, so I made no preparations for Christmas. But now that I have a family, of course, we want to make it a special time for everybody. So preparations are necessary in order to celebrate Christmas. So let's listen to Daisy and Adam's conversation now as they talk about getting things ready for the Christmas season.
Preparing for Christmas.Shopping for Christmas decorations. Daisy and Adam are at a shopping mall looking at Christmas ornaments.
Hey Adam, check out this snow globe. Cute, right?
Yeah, let's put it in the cart. How about these pine cone ornaments?
Apparently they're made out of plastic. I'd rather have some real pine cones.
Did you really use real pine cones back home?
We sure did.
Aren't they kind of messy?Well,
if you don't prepare them correctly, they can get moldy and carry bugs.
So how do you avoid that?
We'd soak them in a water and vinegar mixture, dry them overnight, and then bake them for a few hours.
Wow, that sounds complicated.
Not really. It was pretty easy, and it was kind of a fun tradition when we were kids.
大家好，第一部分我们可以看到单字 ornament。这个字是名词，指的是装饰品或是饰物。例如 The general's wife arrived at the ball with a gorgeous ornament in her hair. 那位将军的妻子抵达舞会会场，她的头发上有个很漂亮的饰品。或者 My mother makes her own Christmas ornaments out of recycled materials. 我妈妈用回收的材料制成了她自己的圣诞饰品。接下来我们看到副词 apparently， 它的意思是显然、似乎、看来或是据说。举例来说 According to reports, the fire apparently started in an apartment on the 3rd floor. 根据报道，那个火灾似乎是从3楼的一间公寓开始的。又或者说 They apparently ran out of food in the middle of the party, and Rob had to run out and buy more. 很显然的，他们在派对中途食物就吃完了，所以 Rob 不得不跑出去再买一些。另外去掉这个字的字尾 ly 就变成了形容词 apparent， 意思是明显的、显而易见的或是表面上的。例如 Luke's apparent inability to handle stress makes him unsuitable for the job. Luke 显然没有能力处理压力，使他不胜任这份工作。或是 The bridge was damaged by an apparent earthquake. 那座桥因一场有感地震而受损。再来我们看到单字 soak， 这个字是动词，意思是浸、泡、使湿透或是渗透。例如 I love to soak in a hot spring when I go to 宜兰。我去宜兰时很爱泡温泉。或是Kathy's shoes and socks were soaked after she walked home in the heavy rain. Kathy 在大雨中步行回家后，鞋子和袜子都湿透了。接着我们看到单字 overnight， 它是副词，指的是整夜、在夜间或是一夜之间。例如 After the video went viral, Brett became a famous YouTuber overnight. 那支影片爆红之后， Brett 一夜之间成了知名的 YouTube 创作者。或者我们可以说When the children ran down to the pond, they discovered that it had frozen overnight. 当孩子们跑到池塘边时，他们发现池塘在一夜之间结冰了。最后我们看到形容词 complicated， 它指的是复杂的或是难以理解的。举例来说 The math question is complicated, and Stephen was struggling to answer it. 这个数学题目很复杂 ，Stephen 答不太出来。或者 The work needed to restore the computer systems was so complicated that Janice decided to bring in an expert. 修复电脑系统要费的工太复杂了 ，Janice 决定找专家来。另外补充这个字的动词 complicate, C-O-M-P-L-I-C-A-T-E, complicate, 意思是使复杂或是使变麻烦。我们可以说 David complicated the plan by arriving late. 由于 David 迟到，使得计划生变。又或者说 Repairs to the house were complicated after the drill broke. 钻头坏掉后，房屋的修缮变得很麻烦。
So the first conversation is between Daisy and Adam, and they are shopping for Christmas decorations. Now, Daisy and Adam are at a shopping mall looking at Christmas ornaments. So specifically, they're looking at Christmas decoration. Now, ornament is a word that refers to a small object that's used for decorating things. So you can talk about Christmas tree ornaments, and those would be those things that you hang from a Christmas tree. They could be the glass balls, or they could be the ribbons that you hang on the tree. So anything that makes the Christmas tree look prettier.
Yes, my mother had Christmas bulbs, red ones and white ones, and I think they were made out of glass or something, so every year one or two of them would accidentally break. Of course, nowadays you can buy cheap plastic ones if you're on a budget, but again, there are various kinds of ornaments that you can put on the Christmas tree or on the wreath or in other places. Now, Daisy begins the conversation. She says, "Hey, Adam, check out this snow globe. Cute, right?" So that's an example of a Christmas decoration. It's a globular, I guess, piece of glass that has, maybe a snowman inside or Santa Claus or something like that. And if you shake it, then this snow starts to fly around.
And Adam says, yeah, let's put it in the cart. How about these pine cone ornaments? So Adam agrees. He thinks that they should buy the snow globe because it's a nice ornament, and he comes across pine cone ornaments. So pine cones are those cones that come from pine trees. They're the things that contain the seeds of pine trees. And when you pick them up in the forest and you clean them up, sometimes you can use them as ornaments. You can use them as they are in their natural state. Some children like to paint them, or they like to glue glitter on them. So there are also ways to decorate pine cones.
They do look pretty cute on a Christmas tree. I think we had some when I was a kid. They were actually painted white on the tips there to sort of simulate snow. So here Daisy says, apparently, or it seems, they're made out of plastic. I'd rather have some real pine cones. Yes, plastic pine cones don't really carry the spirit of Christmas. You might want to have some real ones from a real pine tree, I should say. And here we've got the word apparently. That just means it seems that this is the case. For example, many years ago when I was working at Pizza Hut, I was supposed to cook a lot of pizzas for a particular order, and the lady in charge there said, well, are those pizzas done? And she looked in the oven and said, apparently not. Yes, at the time, I was kind of slow to get things done. But in this particular case, it seems, or it looks like these pine cones are made out of plastic, and she wants the real kind.
Right. So apparently can also be used for a statement that you heard about from somebody. So you could say something like, apparently the concert was canceled because the singer is sick. So we don't really know if the singer was actually sick, but rumor has it that the singer was sick and therefore the concert was canceled.
Indeed. So it looks like these pine cones are plastic. And Adam says, well, did you really use real pine cones back home? Did you really have real pine cones there? And Daisy says, we sure did. Adam has a question. Aren't they kind of messy? Indeed, these are the fruit of pine trees. So if you pick them off the pine tree or pick them up from the ground, yeah, aren't they kind of organic and they'll start falling apart and they'll be kind of messy? Don't they make a mess of things in your living room?
Right, and Daisy agrees. She says, well, if you don't prepare them correctly, they can get moldy and carry bugs. So if you don't prepare pine cones correctly, that is, if you don't wash them, dust them off, and dry them, then they can get moldy. So something that gets moldy gets covered with mold, which are those tiny green, blue, or white fungi that grow on food that's not kept fresh or that's not kept clean and dry. So if you don't prepare the pine cones, they can get moldy and they can also carry bugs because if you pick them up directly from the ground, from the forest, then bugs might be living in them and then you'll be carrying those bugs into your home.
Yep, it's that kind of white and green stuff that grows on your bread if you don't eat it soon enough. And remember, the American spelling is M-O-L-D-Y. Whereas in England, they stick a U in there, M-O-U-L-D-Y, and they mean the same thing. And yes, indeed, these pine cones could get moldy, and there could be bugs in them. So Adam has a question. So how do you avoid that? How do you prevent the pine cones from molding and having bugs in them? And Daisy says, well, we'd soak them in a water and vinegar mixture. That's what we would do in the past in order to stop the mold and to keep the bugs away. If you soak something, you place it in a liquid for a long period of time for a particular purpose. Like, for example, if you have some especially dirty dishes and they're difficult to wash, you might want to soak them in water first, maybe for a couple of hours, and then the stuff that's on the plates will get softer and the plates will be easier to clean.
Right. So what Daisy would do is soak those pine cones in a water and vinegar mixture or a mixture of vinegar and water. So vinegar is that liquid that many people have in the kitchen. It's a sour liquid that's used for cooking or for making salad dressing. For instance, you can have oil and vinegar dressing if you've ordered a salad in a restaurant. And vinegar is made by letting wine or cider slowly become acid. So what Daisy would do is soak the pine cones in water and vinegar and then dry them overnight. So the pine cones will be dried for a particular amount of time. Overnight means throughout the night, during the night.
Yeah, sometimes when you prepare food, you let it sit in a particular solution overnight so that it will be ready to cook in the morning. That just means during the night. Overnight, it means the same thing. And then they would bake them in the oven for a few hours to get rid of the mold and to get rid of the bugs. Adam says, wow, that sounds complicated. Complicated means it involves lots and lots of different steps. Like sometimes to fix the engine of your car will be quite complicated. There are lots of parts and things to consider and belts and oil and lubricant and stuff like that. Oh, it's so complicated. It involves a lot of steps.
Right, but Adam thinks it's complicated because he's never done it before. It's actually not that complicated, according to Daisy. She says, not really. It's not that complicated. It was pretty easy, and it was kind of a fun tradition when we were kids. So apparently, Daisy would have pine cone ornaments every year, and in order to prepare those pine cones, they would go through this process of soaking and drying the objects, and then it became a tradition when she was a kid.
Indeed. So it was kind of a tradition, and that is the beauty of Christmas, making those preparations. For me, it was getting together with my mother to bake Christmas cookies. Okay, that brings us to the end of part 1. Let's move on now to part 2, where the fun begins. We are decorating a Christmas tree. Let's listen.
Decorating a Christmas tree. Daisy and Adam are at home decorating their Christmas tree with ornaments.
Oh, these bird ornaments you got are cute. Do they have any particular meaning?
I heard they're supposed to symbolize happiness and joy. How about this rabbit ornament? I associate rabbits more with Easter.
Me too, but I think it's supposed to reflect the feeling of being at peace with nature.
That's nice. Is that a pickle?
Ah, yes, that's a supposedly German tradition that my family also follows. The pickle should be hidden somewhere in the tree, and whichever kid finds it first on Christmas morning gets to open their presents first.
That sounds like fun. I think you will have to hide it then.
Oh, so only you will get a chance to find it, huh?
That's right. But don't worry, because here's a mistletoe decoration.
And what tradition is associated with mistletoe?
Well, meet me under the mistletoe later to find out.
So here in part 2 of the conversation, Daisy and Adam are decorating a Christmas tree. They are at home decorating their Christmas tree with ornaments. And Adam says, "Oh, these bird ornaments you got are cute. Do they have any particular meaning?" So Adam and Daisy have ornaments that are in the shape of birds. And Adam was curious to know, why birds? Is there a specific meaning to birds?
Indeed, I never had bird ornaments on my Christmas tree. We had like tin soldiers and bulbs and stuff like that. But yeah, what about these birds? Well, here Daisy says, I heard they're supposed to symbolize happiness and joy. So here the verb is to symbolize. That just means to represent something, like a diamond ring symbolizes a man's love for his wife-to-be. And then we've got a rabbit ornament. How about this rabbit ornament? An ornament in the shape of a rabbit. I associate rabbits more with Easter. So here we've got the verb to associate, oftentimes used with the preposition with, to associate something with something else. That means we say they have some sort of relationship, they have something in common.
Right. So when you associate one thing with another, you're forming a connection in your mind between those things. So I could also say that the color red is often associated with anger, but it can also be associated with the feeling of love.
Or associate double-decker buses with Hong Kong and London, especially. You get the idea. So here, of course, the conversation continues. Adam says, me too. Indeed, I associate rabbits more with Easter. And for many people, Easter is a time of renewal. Before it was a Christian holiday, it was a holiday to celebrate fertility and having a good harvest and having a good planting season. And Adam says, me too, but I think it's supposed to reflect the feeling of being at peace with nature. That's what Adam thinks the rabbits symbolize. It's supposed to reflect or symbolize that feeling of being at peace with nature and not wanting to go out there and shoot birds and kill rabbits.
Daisy says, that's nice. And in the meantime, she's taking another ornament from a box and she suddenly laughs out loud. Huh, is that a pickle? So if you can picture the scene, Adam and Daisy are taking ornaments from a box and they've taken out rabbit ornaments, bird ornaments, and now Daisy has suddenly taken out an ornament that's in the shape of a pickle. So she's really surprised and she laughs out loud. So when you laugh out loud, you make a sound when you laugh, a sound of surprise. And indeed, it's strange to find an ornament in the shape of a pickle. A pickle is a cucumber that has been soaked in vinegar. It's very unusual as an ornament.
Indeed, wouldn't it go rotten or something like that? But it says here the pickle should be hidden somewhere in the tree. And whichever kid finds it first on Christmas morning gets to open their presents first. So it's a supposed German tradition, or it's supposedly a German tradition. They're not 100% sure. Maybe they heard about it from someplace. You'd probably have to ask an actual German to see if that is the case. Yeah, do you guys really hide pickles inside a Christmas tree? And if the kid finds it, he gets to open his presents or her presents first. Is that really true? And the German, of course, will be able to tell you direct from the horse's mouth.
Right, and the meaning of supposedly is very similar to the meaning of apparently. Supposedly means according to what some people say, according to what you've heard. So you can say, supposedly the train is going to be late tomorrow because there are people on strike and that has affected the schedule. So you don't know for sure if the train is going to arrive late, but you've heard things about it. And because of that, supposedly it's this thing thing is going to happen.
Indeed, so that supposedly is a German tradition, and Daisy says, that sounds like fun. I think you will have to hide it then. So indeed, Adam is supposed to hide the pickle in the tree, and they're going to observe this German tradition by hiding a pickle in the Christmas tree, and then the kids are going to go looking for that pickle. Hopefully, they won't get poked in the eye from the needles of the Christmas tree. That can be quite dangerous, or even the pine cones or the ornaments. So, of course, they will need to be careful. And Adam says, oh, so only you will get a chance to find it, huh? So, indeed, Adam will hide the pickle, so that means he won't be the one to look for it, and therefore he won't have a chance to open his presents first.
And Daisy says, that's right. But don't worry, because here's a mistletoe decoration. So Daisy takes out a mistletoe decoration, which is a type of plant. It's a leaf that is very symbolic of Christmas. According to tradition, you would hang a mistletoe from a ceiling or a door frame, and whoever walks under it has to be kissed by somebody.
And Daisy says, well, meet me under the mistletoe later to find out. And indeed, that is a Christmas tradition. But I have never had anybody kiss me when I was standing under the mistletoe, but I've never stood under mistletoe before. Have you, Helen?
No, I have never stood under mistletoe before, but it's a very cute tradition. And note Adam's use of the word associate. What tradition is associated with mistletoe? So he's saying, what tradition is connected with mistletoe?
And he's going to find out the easy way. Okay, that brings us to the end of our discussion for today. It's time now to listen to our Chinese teacher.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。在课文第一部分的对话里， Adam 和 Daisy 在购买圣诞节装饰品。当 Adam 问说那些松果装饰品怎么样呢？ Daisy 回答 Apparently they're made out of plastic。 显然他们是用塑胶做的。好，当我们用 make A out of B 是指说用 B 做成 A， 那么被动语态则是 A be made out of B。那这个句型就常常用来强调说 B 被改变被转变成 A 了。举例来说 The bag is made out of an old pair of pants。 那个包包是用一条旧的长裤所做成的。好，那我们顺便补充其他表达有什么制成的用法。第一个用法是 be made of， 它是用来说明构成的材质啊、原料。你从成品的外观看得出它的制作原料，像 The dresser is made of wood， 那个衣柜是木质的，你一看就知道。好，那么第二个用法是 be made from， 是用来说明产品的来源。你从成品外观看不出原料，或者是说从制作原料到成品，它的本质已经改变了。像是 The wine is made from organic grapes， 这个酒啊是用有机葡萄制成的。那你从成品外观这个酒，你看不出葡萄的样子嘛？好，那么第三个用法是 be made with， 它是用来说明所含的原料成分，它并没有要强调制作过程。那么这个句型常常用来描述食材的原料。例如 The cake is made with layers of cream and berries， 这个蛋糕是由好几层的鲜奶油和莓果制成的。好，那么第二部分的对话里面呢，在讲到小鸟装饰品的时候， Daisy 就说I heard they're supposed to symbolize happiness and joy。 听说他们应该是象征幸福和喜乐。然后在讲到兔子装饰品时， Adam 则说I think it's supposed to reflect the feeling of being at peace with nature。 我认为它应该是反映与大自然和平共处的感觉。那文中用到2次 be supposed to 加上原形动词这样的句型去表达应该怎么样怎么样。我们以下介绍2种常见用法。第一个用法是表达应该怎么样， 被预期要怎么样怎么样，这是用来表达说某人他被预期应该要做某事，或者是某事物他被预期有某种效果，就像课文的用法。那这时候 be 动词呢是用现在式。举例来说 Dean is supposed to arrive at noon. Dean 应该要在中午到达。那么第二个用法是可以表达原本应该怎么样却没有这样，那这是用来表达认为过去应该发生某事，但实际上却没有发生。这时候 be 动词我们会用过去式，例如 Dean was supposed to arrive at noon. 这时候是说 Dean 他原本应该要中午到达的，可是却没有。好，那以上是今天重点整理，我们回顾今天单字吧。
Apparently.By the time Tom arrived at the store, the special sale was apparently already over. Soak. Alma soaked the dishes in the sink before she washed them. Vinegar. Many people like to eat fish and chips with vinegar. Overnight. Rather than make a long drive late in the evening, Dominic stayed with some friends overnight. Complicated.The instructions for making the cake were so complicated that Carol decided to just buy one instead. Associate. Some people associate wearing glasses with being intelligent. Supposedly. The new law would supposedly reduce pollution, but critics had doubts about that claim.
Well, everyone, today's article has come to an end, and I sure hope you enjoyed reading along with us. I am Roger.
I'm Helen.
See you next time.